that's straight and bright. By the light of the Word.
Today on Light of the Word with Pastor Ray.
David sends the ark back to where it belongs in Jerusalem. This is God's design. And I love this. David is just coming to, let your will be done, Lord. Oh, there's nothing more peaceful and powerful than whatever the situation goes. Lord, this is the situation. Just let your will be done. I yield myself to you. I yield myself to your will. And maybe you're in a hard place right now, whatever that situation is, you'll find a peace and power. Go, you know what, Lord? I just yield myself. Let your will be done.
Open your heart to us, Lord, so we can know your word. We come before you, Jesus. Speak to our hearts as we discover your love for us. How wide, how deep, how far. Pour into us so we can learn to follow. One surrender at a time. You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the Word.
It's hard not to take matters into your own hands when you have a crisis, right? Especially when it seems to be life or death. King David faced a true life or death situation. His son was mounting a coup against his government. And while David did things like putting spies in place, his overall attitude was to not fight back initially. Pastor Ray is teaching that this attitude was why David was called a man after God's own heart. Even in these worst of times, David didn't lose sight of God's sovereignty in the situation he was in. Well, let's join Pastor Ray in the book of 2 Samuel chapter 15 for today's edition of Light of the Word.
200 men make a crowd. And it takes a crowd to make a crowd. Absalom, he's working this perfectly. And you know what else is happening here? David is old. He's just old. Absalom, we read back in chapter 14, he's young. He's handsome. We're told back in chapter 14, he's the most handsome person in all of Israel. David's old. Absalom's young. David's energy decreasing. Absalom energy. He's got a cause. People are drawn to Absalom. He's charismatic. He's a people person we just read. He's young. He's good looking. It takes us all the way back to the mistake they made with Saul. Man, he's good looking. He's tall. He's got to have it going on. And here Israel repeats that cycle and that problem and that error again. But here Absalom, he's using his energy. David's old. And people are like, David is tired. Masterfully how this all works together. And then even with him, he's calling Ahithophel. He's David's chief counselor. As we've studied in the past, he's David's chief counselor. So by calling Ahithophel to come alongside him and to join him, it's making it look like, oh, wow, he's definitely getting the kingdom because Ahithophel, David's chief counselor, is now going to be Absalom's chief counselor. And we're going to read, and so keep this in mind. Ahithophel, he doesn't know what's happening, but he's going to catch on real quick. And keep that in mind because Ahithophel, he's going to have a reason to hate David. Because Ahithophel is Bathsheba's grandfather. And Absalom can see you're bitter what he did to your daughter, and I'm bitter what he did to my sister. He's working it, and he's playing it. 7 years. Oh, listen. Regardless of your age, but I'll speak to you youth today especially. Absalom waited 2 years for his father to do something he didn't. 2 years he seeds and anger and bitterness grows. And Satan, through the seed, David's watering. 3 years into exile, and David does nothing. Satan throws the seed, David waters. Then he comes back into the land, and David will not give him an audience. David will not serve justice, and David will not connect with his son for 2 more years. 7, biblically, is the number of completion. 7 years this has planted and grown and watered, and now the harvest has come. And here's what I want you to know, youth. Satan is patient. He doesn't care how long it takes him to take you down, because he's not cared about time. He's only cared about completeness, and he wants to completely destroy you. And you know, you can move along and you can be doing some things and you can be thinking that this isn't that big of a deal, what I'm involved in or what I'm doing. But Satan is planting and watering because he only has one objective: to completely, utterly destroy you. The thief does not come except to steal, kill, and destroy. He's patient. He doesn't care how long it takes. And so we need to be on guard for that. He is patient and he is coming. Verse 13 through 15, David's going to know it immediately as soon as this happens. Now a messenger came to David saying, the hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom. So David said to all the servants who were with him at Jerusalem, arise, let us flee, or we shall not escape from Absalom. Make haste to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring disaster upon us and strike the city with the edge of the sword. Verse 15, and the king's servant said to the king, we are your servants, ready to do whatever my lord the king commands. David knows it. It all comes clear. The 7 years, he sees it. He knows he won't survive the night if he doesn't make haste. Verse 16, then the king went out with all his household after him, but the king left 10 women concubine to keep the house. That plays into our story later. We'll get to that next chapter. Verse 17 through 23, and the king went out with all the people after him and stopped at the outskirts. Then all the people passed before him, all the Cherethites and the Pelethites and all the Gittites. 600 men who had followed him from Gath passed before the king. Then the king said to Ittai the Gittite, why are you also going with us? Return and remain with the king, for you are a foreigner and also an exile from your own place. In fact, you came only yesterday. Should I make you wander up and down with us today, since I go, I know not where? Return and take your brethren back. Mercy and truth be with you. Verse 21, but Ittai answered the king and said, as the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, surely in whatever place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also your servant will be. Verse 22, so David said to Ittai, go and cross over. Then Ittai the Gittite and all of his men and all the little ones who were with him crossed over. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people crossed over. The king himself also crossed over the brook Kidron, and all the people crossed over towards the way of the wilderness. It's quite a scene when you think of what this must be like. 600 men back that we saw there, those are the mighty men that were with him through thick and thin there when he was on the run with Saul. And here these faithful men still with him. I just encourage you, faithfulness, faithful friends. Oh, the power of it and what God does with it. But there's a piece of fruit here that's mighty. Goes back to 1 Samuel 27, verse 7 for you note takers. 16 months David spent in Gath when he was on the run from Saul. He was in the wrong place. God definitely did not tell him go down. In fact, God told him to stay in Israel. But he goes down to Gath. He's in the wrong place, and then he's doing the wrong thing. And that's a whole study on that, but he was out raiding. He was cozying up with the kings of Gath, and he's in the wrong place. He's doing the wrong thing. You want to hear something amazing? What we read here, though, is the Cherethites, the Pelethites, and the Gittites, they're not Israelites. They're not Jewish people. They're people from that area. They're not fellow countrymen. But here we read, here they are following David. And nowhere do we read back through the prior passages that they were with David when he was in Gath. They come, and here they are. This is where we read of them with David here in Jerusalem. What's my point that I'm building for you? Even when you're in the wrong place doing the wrong thing, God can still do something great and mighty. Because it's never too little and it's never too late. David, you were in the wrong place doing the wrong thing, and yet here we find these men with their whole families coming to follow David out. But here's what I find. They don't come until David turns back and crosses back, repents, and goes back into the land that God had told him. And we read all the way back when Saul dies, David returns to the land. He goes to Hebron. He sets up his kingdom. And this is what we find. This is when we see these men are following him when he returns. And so what's the moral of the story there for us? You can be in the wrong place doing the wrong thing. It happens. We've all been there. We've all done that. But there's a place that when we turn and return, and we can make a place and a statement to people, I was in the wrong place doing the wrong thing. But you know what? My God's big, and my God forgives, and my God came and he stood with me. And we can make that testimony before man, before people who like, man, I remember you when. You go, yeah, that might be true. But you know what? When I turned to the king turned to me, because that's my king. And people will follow. And we can always invite them to come. And here they come. David's like, man, why are you following me? This is going to be a mess. You're putting yourself in the middle of this. You're putting yourself in between me and Absalom. And it's not going to go well one way or the other. Somewhere along the line, this is not going to be good. And I love what David does here. He doesn't make them choose him. He gives everyone the opportunity, man, you don't have to choose me. You can go back. All of you, just go back. I'm not demanding or requiring you to follow me. And you know what? That's a good word. When you find yourself in a division with another brother or sister. Because you can find yourself in this conflict, and it happens amongst us. It's the truth. And you can find yourself, and then you got friends who are in the middle, and your friends are going to feel like, man, I'm friends with you, and I'm friends with you. And may I say, may we never make anyone feel you have to choose. And I'll say this, as much as I don't like it. It happens pastorally in the church more than I care to ever say. We have situations, I don't agree with what you're doing. I don't agree with how you're doing it. And I understand that. I recognize that. And here's what I want to say to you as a pastor, as a brother. I will never ask you to choose. I'll never ask you to choose between the church, me, or them. Never. Because God doesn't do that. God's not asking it. David gives us a great example. What I will ask you to choose, though, is the way of the Lord. How would God handle this? How does God want me to handle this? And that's what I ask you. When these things happen, and it just happens, you go, Lord, what's my response? How do I respond to this? Choose what the word of the Lord would have you to do and how to handle that. Verse 24 through 26, there was Zadok also and all the Levites with him bearing the ark of the covenant of God. Boy, you can picture that scene. They're grabbing the ark. They're beating feet. And they set down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up until the people had finished crossing over from the city. Then the king said to Zadok, carry the ark of God back into the city. If I find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me back and show me both it and his dwelling place. But if he says thus, I have no delight in you, here I am, let him do to me as seems good to me. So David sends the ark back to where it belongs in Jerusalem. This is God's design. And I love this. David is just coming to, let your will be done, Lord. Oh, there's nothing more peaceful and powerful than whatever the situation goes. Lord, this is the situation. Just let your will be done. I yield myself to you. I yield myself to your will. And maybe you're in a hard place right now, whatever that situation is, you'll find a peace and power. Go, you know what, Lord? I just yield myself. Let your will be done. Have a way. I'm going to trust you. David is yielding. He's trusting that God would have a way. And whatever you seem good, I'm with you, Lord. Verse 27 through 29. The king also said to Zadok the priest, are you not a seer? Return to the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Amaz, your son, and Jonathan, the son of Abiathar. See, I will wait in the plains and the wilderness until word comes from you to inform me. Therefore, Zadok and Abiathar carried the ark of God back to Jerusalem, and they remained there. I love David's faith, the last passage that we left. Hey, you know, if it seems good to God, whatever he decides. But it didn't take long to go. But just in case, I'm going to put some spies. I'm going to put some secret agents in the land. I got some people embedded just in case. Ever do that? Boy, how I find myself, Lord, let your will be done. But just in case, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And you can sit here and we can look at this and go, well, is this wisdom? Is this wisdom from the Lord? Because David's a strategist. He's a commander. He's a warrior. Is this God saying, yes, now embed these men because here's how we're going to counter this? Or is this David coming to a lack of faith? I don't know. And you don't know, do you? Because there's so many times I look and I say, you know what, Lord, I just trust you. Let your will be done. But then we come, but what is my response? How should I respond? What is the thing that you would have me to do? Is this my flesh or is this wisdom? And what's the answer? You only know by being still. Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I'm God. Of sitting and waiting before the Lord and say, this is the situation. What should I do? How should I handle this? Which is the appropriate response to what's going on before me? And here's the thing. You never know when an Absalom's coming. And so therefore, daily, we have to be in that place, meeting with the Lord. Absalom woke up early every morning, did David. And that's where we got to be, because we come to this place and, you know, we always talk about that God sends out missionaries or God sending this person out to plant a church. You know what? God sends you out every day. And there's the place for us. You know what, God? You're sending me out today. I need to be ready to be sent out today because I don't know what's before me today, but I know that you send me out every day. And as we sit, we wait. When the Absaloms come or the world unfolds before us, we're like, I've been with the Lord. And I know that I'm tapped in with the Lord. And I know that I'm going to have an application of what he would have for me and how to respond to what's before me. You know what I hate? I hate when I run, I rush. I don't get to spend that Psalm 46, verse 10, be still and know that I'm God. And I run out. I have to run out to the day because I got to get to whatever and get involved in whatever. And then the world unfolds on me. And I'm in this place and I'm like, well, man, I didn't see this coming. I'm not ready for this. Oh, Lord, I'm praying on the fly. How do I handle this? And whatever it might be, I get through the day. Then tomorrow I go, man, I got to get to the Word. Now I'm a day behind in my devotion, right? I'm reading through these 3 chapters every day or whatever it might be. And then I'm a day behind. So then I sit down and I open the Word and I'm reading yesterday's Word today, because I'm a day behind because I was in such a rush. Then I read yesterday's Word and I go, Boy, that would have been a perfect word for yesterday. How many times God gives us a perfect word for the day, but we're a day behind on it? That's me too often. Verse 30, so David went up by the ascent of the Mount of Olives and wept as he went, and he had his head covered and went barefoot, and all the people who were with him covered their heads and went up weeping as they went. I don't know why they're weeping. Are they weeping because they're leaving their homes? Are they weeping because of the state of the nation? Are they weeping because life will never be the same? I don't know. But David went up by the ascent of the Mount of Olives. The Mount of Olives, Jesus will make the same ascent 1,000 years later. Gethsemane, it means crushing. And you know, Christian, I don't know what you might be going through right now, but there's a place, the crushing of olives, the greater the crushing, the purer the oil. If you wanted the purest olive oil, it was never done through light crushing. The lighter the crushing, the more impurity. The harder and the deeper the crushing, the greater the purity and the potency and the power of that olive oil. And so is a picture for us. Jesus will make this same place. He will come, and we see a picture here, are greater than David. He's going to come to the place of crushing. Verse 31 through 37. Then someone told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. Verse 32, now it happened when David had come to the top of the mountain where he worshiped God, there was Hushai, the Archite, come to meet him with his robe torn and dust on his head. David said to him, if you go with me, then you will become a burden to me. Verse 34, but if you return to the city and say to Absalom, I will be your servant, O king, as I was your father's servant previously, so I will now also be your servant. Then you may defeat the counsel of Ahithophel for me. And we'll read about this in our chapter to come. Verse 35, and do you not have Zadok and Abiathar the priests with you? Therefore it will be that whatever you hear from the king's house, you shall tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priest. Verse 36, indeed they have there with them their two sons, Amaziah, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiasar's son, and by them you shall send me everything you hear. So Hushai, David's friend, went into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. There's a tidbit here for power for us. Ahithophel is David's chief counselor, and he knows every weakness and every strength of David. He knows how to defeat David. He knows how David thinks. He knows David's strengths and weaknesses, and therefore he has the greatest counsel that he can give Absalom. And David here says, "O Lord, I pray, defeat the counsel of Ahithophel." You with wayward children, your wayward children are getting counsel through the world, through their friends. And there's a power for us to pray, "Oh Lord, defeat the counsel of the world that is defeating them right now."
You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the word.
We're so glad you joined Pastor Ray Bolus today for Light of the Word. We'd encourage you to read ahead in 2 Samuel before you join us again and allow God to share His blessing and truth with you personally. If you'd like to hear more messages from this series or read through Pastor Ray's notes on the book, visit ccaac.org. You can find these as well on our mobile app. Taking God's Word with you on the go is a great way to fill the spaces in your day with Him, and staying connected to the Father will keep your focus on the right track. Find a link to download the app under the About tab at ccaac.org. Another way to stay connected to God's plans for you is by immersing yourself in a faith-based community, specifically a local church. Your fellow brothers and sisters in Christ can encourage you as you journey through this life, provide the practical, loving support you need, and allow you a place to minister to others as well. Are you part of a local church? If not, we encourage you to find and begin regularly attending one today. If you're in the area, we'd love to have you join us at Calvary Chapel of Anne Arundel County in Maryland. We meet each Sunday at 10 a.m., and you can find out more at ccaac.org. That's all for today, but join us next time for another edition of Light of the Word, illuminating the heart of God.
You have made